Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I've never told this story to anyone. Not my colleagues, not my ex-wife, not even the field supervisor who sent me out there. Because once you say something like this out loud, you can't unsay it. You can't tuck it back into the deep drawer where you hide the things that shouldn't be real. And trust me, this thing should not be real. I'm a wildlife researcher, have been for over 12 years. My specialty is wolf migration and behavioral patterns in the upper Midwest. That means a lot of quiet nights in the middle of nowhere. No cell signal, just me, my gear, and the cold whisper of the wind. Last December, I was sent to a remote section of northern Minnesota, near the Canadian border. Thick woods, frozen lakes, barely a town for miles. I was supposed to track a small wolf pack migrating across the area, possibly heading toward Ontario. It was routine, long hours, cold feet, snow up to your calves. But nothing I hadn't handled before. I took the snowmobile out to the eastern edge of Silverbone Lake, an old glacial basin that freezes over solid in the winter. Beautiful, eerie place, flat as glass, surrounded by pine trees so dense they swallow sound. I pitched my tent on the shore about 30 yards from the tree line, set up motion cameras, baited a few tracking stations, and settled in with a thermos of stale coffee and a thermal sleeping bag. It was about 3 a.m. when I woke up. Not to any sound, not really. It was more of a sensation, like something had changed in the air around me. That kind of stillness where your ears almost ring. The hairs on my arms stood up, even though I was wrapped like a burrito. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Crunch. Pause. Crunch. But slow. Too slow for a person walking normally. And each crunch had this strange quality, like it was above the snow, but still somehow making noise. If you've ever heard a raccoon walking across fresh ice, it's like that. Only heavier. More deliberate. I peeked out the tent flap. The moon was high, casting a white-blue glow over the lake. And there it was. Tall. Emaciated. A thing that might have once been human if you looked fast enough. But if you really looked, it fell apart. The limbs were wrong. Too long. Too thin. Its shoulders were jagged, like bones trying to push through torn skin. And its head, God help me, its head was tilted slightly to the side, like it was listening for something only it could hear. Its eyes glowed faintly yellow, not like headlights, dimmer, sadder, like they were burning from the inside out. But what I remember most, the thing that made my stomach twist into a cold knot, was its feet. They didn't break the snow. The snow around it lay undisturbed, pristine, like the thing had been painted into the scene instead of physically present. But I heard it. I heard the crunch of every step. And then it stopped, right in the middle of the lake, facing me. I froze. Not a poetic way of saying I was scared. I literally could not move. My body locked. My breath caught in my throat. All I could do was stare, the flap of the tent pressed lightly against my cheek, letting the cold seep in. The thing raised its head, and it said my name, not screamed it, not whispered it in some creepy horror movie way. Just said it, soft, flat, like someone trying on a word that didn't belong to them. Jason. That's when I snapped the flap shut, pulled the zipper like a man possessed. I laid there, eyes wide, heart thundering in my chest, listening for footsteps that didn't match the crunching I heard earlier. Nothing, but the silence didn't bring relief. It made things worse. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I didn't even blink. At first light, I packed up everything like the damn place was on fire. Cameras, gear, supplies, all stuffed into my sled in under 10 minutes. I didn't even stop to double check my readings. I just left, gunned the snowmobile across the lake like I was racing death. A week later, I reviewed the footage from one of the trail cameras. There were no wolves, no deer, no signs of life at all that night, except for one frame. One single frame caught something standing in the middle of the lake. Just one. The very next second, it was gone. I tried enhancing it. The quality was poor, like static eaten by moonlight. But the shape was there. And the eyes, those goddamn eyes. I deleted it, wiped the hard drive clean, burned the SD card in my fireplace. I told myself I imagined it, that my brain had cracked from the cold and the isolation, that I'd dreamed the whole thing. I even believed that lie, until last week. I live in Duluth now, not far from Lake Superior. I work at a desk now, safer, quieter, more civilized, you could say. 3 nights ago, I woke up at 3:03 a.m. The air was still, too still. I padded down the hallway to check the thermostat. That's when I saw them. Footprints, all around the house, in the fresh snow, circling the building like a predator casing its prey. But they weren't deep. There was no sink to them, just shallow imprints, like someone had tiptoed across without weight. No beginning, no end. I stared at them from the front window, teeth chattering, not from the cold, but from the memory. And then, behind me, I heard it. Soft, flat, close. Jason. I haven't slept since. The worst part, I know it's not done with me, because those footprints are back again tonight, and they're not circling anymore. They're coming closer. Story 2. My brother Ben and I had done dozens of winter hikes together, usually with nothing more than a couple freeze-dried meals, a solid tent, and some dumb jokes to keep each other from going stir-crazy. We've been hiking in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan for 3 days, planning to camp near the frozen creek where Dad used to fish before cancer took him. It was tradition, one of those quiet traditions no one really talks about, but you do it anyway because it keeps the ghosts in your chest from rattling too loud. We weren't expecting the storm. It came in hard. No warning, no shift in the wind, just white walls swallowing the trees around us like a curtain yanked shut. The kind of snow that hisses when it falls and clings to your skin like cold ash. We couldn't see more than 10 feet ahead. We stumbled into the cabin the way a drowning man stumbles onto dry land. It was tucked behind a crooked ridge of pines, half covered in snow. The thing looked ancient, gray logs stacked tight, the door hanging a little to one side, but solid enough. There was a stone chimney, and when Ben pushed the door open with a grunt, the stale warmth of old soot and wood smoke drifted out like a sigh. No signs of life, no footprints, no firewood stacked outside, just dust, a cold hearth, and the kind of silence that settles in places where nobody's lived for years. But inside, there was wood, a few logs by the fireplace, a shelf lined with rusted canned food, a cot in the corner. Someone had lived here, maybe still did. We should have left, but the wind outside howled like it had teeth, and our tent was already halfway buried. So we stayed. We got the fire going, heated some beans, tried to laugh about it. Two brothers, hiding from nature's temper tantrum like scared kids in a treehouse. Ben found a tin mug and offered toast. To dumb luck and abandoned cabins, he said. We didn't feel lucky for long. It started with a howling. Not outside, inside. Soft, low, not quite animal. Like wind, but wrong. Hollow, as if it were echoing through something alive. I kept telling myself it was just the storm, but the firelight flickered weird against the walls. The shadows felt too thick. They shifted when we weren't looking. Then came the scratching, not at the door, under the floorboards. Light, deliberate, like nails dragging slowly across wood. Ben froze. "You hear that?" he whispered. I nodded. He grabbed his flashlight and pulled up a loose plank near the hearth. Nothing, just dirt. Dry, cracked dirt, but it didn't smell right. A wave of stench hit us. Rotting meat, wet moss, and something sharp and metallic, like blood and rust. Ben dropped the board back in place. "We sleep in shifts," he said. We didn't sleep at all. At 2:13 a.m., I remember the exact time because I was staring at my watch. The fire went out. Just died like someone had pinched it between their fingers. 1 second it was crackling, then poof, cold darkness. I heard something then, in the walls. Not words. Chewing. Slow, wet chewing. Like someone eating something with too many bones. Ben stood up, shining his flashlight around. The beam cut across the far wall, catching something in the corner. Just a flicker, gone before we could focus on it. "Did you see that?" he asked. I nodded again. My throat was too tight to speak. He turned back to the floor. That's when he jerked his leg up with a yelp. Something touched me. He hissed. Right under the floorboard. He limped back, pale. I shined the light down. There were scratches on his boot. Long ones. Deep. We didn't wait for morning. We packed in silence and left before the first gray light broke through the trees. Snow came up to our thighs, but neither of us stopped. Our faces were raw from windburn by the time we made it to the ranger station on the highway. The sheriff came with us later that week. So did a forest ranger. The hike back was hell, but we were determined to find the cabin. I needed to know it was real. Needed someone else to see it. But when we got there, it was gone. No logs, no chimney, no sign it had ever been there. Just an empty patch of forest with soft snow and dead silence. Except for one thing. Nailed to a pine tree nearby, halfway hidden by snow, was a wooden plaque. Looked old, burned around the edges, and carved into the wood, in jagged, ugly letters like someone had done it with broken nails. "You broke the pact." We didn't speak on the way back. I haven't spoken about it since. Not until now. Ben doesn't hike anymore. Moved to Phoenix to escape the cold, but I know that's not it. He doesn't even like talking on the phone when it snows. And me? I haven't camped since. Can't, because some nights, when the wind is just right, I swear I still hear it. The chewing, and something moving under the floor. Story 3. When I was a kid, the winters felt longer, darker. My parents would drop me off at my grandparents' cabin deep in the woods of Alberta a few days after Christmas, and I'd stay until school came calling again. The cabin wasn't fancy. 2 bedrooms, a wood stove, and enough creaks in the floorboards to make you think the house itself was trying to whisper something. But I loved it there. It smelled like cedar, wood smoke, and Grandma's stew. And out back, maybe a 15-minute walk through a birch-lined path, there was a narrow frozen stream we called Wendigo Creek. My grandfather, Old Man Lester, used to tell me stories about that place. Said the creek was cursed, named after a man who went mad during a snowstorm over 100 years ago. He had a family, a wife, 3 kids. But when the food ran out, the man snapped. He killed his family and ate them, not just once, but over days. And when the snow melted, they found the bones, picked clean, like he'd been chewing on them out of boredom more than hunger. Now he walks the woods, Grandpa would say, his voice low and rough like gravel. Still hungry, still looking. And when the creek freezes over, that's when he gets close again. I was 8 when he told me that. Scared the hell out of me. But it was a good kind of scared. The kind that send you running under the blanket, but peeking out, because some part of you wants to see the monster. I'm 31 now. Both Grandpa and Grandma passed last year. Natural causes, within a week of each other. Like the cold took them together. The family decided I'd be the one to handle the property. Pack it up, clean it out, maybe sell it. So last December, I drove up with a few suitcases, planning to stay for a week. The cabin looked the same. The paint on the porch had faded, and the birches had grown a little wilder around the path. But inside it still smelled like cedar and wood smoke, even after all that time. The first day went smooth. I found old photo albums, my grandpa's flannel jackets still hanging on the hooks. Their boots were lined up by the door, like they'd be back by morning. The second night, things changed. I just made some canned soup and sat by the fireplace, listening to the crackle of burning wood, when I heard it, screaming. At first, I thought it was the wind, a howl, maybe, but it didn't sound like wind. It sounded human, ragged, strained, desperate. I grabbed the flashlight and stepped outside. The cold hit me hard, like a slap. I followed the sound, boots crunching over ice. The flashlight beam bounced between the trees. The closer I got to the creek, the quieter everything became. No wind, no animals, just silence. Then I saw it. Something was crouched on the frozen surface of the creek. At first, I thought it was a deer, maybe hurt. Its back was arched, spine sharp and visible even from a distance. But then it stood up. It unfolded itself slowly, painfully, at least 7 feet tall. Its limbs were too long, like it had been stretched out. The skin was grayish-white, dry and cracking like old paper. Its ribs jutted out, every bone sharp under its skin, like it hadn't eaten in years. I couldn't move. The thing turned toward me, and that's when I saw its face, or what was left of it. Hollow eyes that glowed faint yellow, and a mouth too big, too wide for any human face, like someone had torn the jaw open to make it fit something else. Then it spoke, but it wasn't its voice. It was my grandfather's. "Come home," it said. "You belong here now." I stumbled back. My heel caught on a frozen root, and I went down hard. My head cracked against something. Ice, maybe a rock, I don't know. Everything went black. When I woke up, I was in bed. The fire was lit. My boots were placed neatly by the door. There was snow in my hair. I don't know how I got back. I should have been dead. The cold should have finished me off. Or it should have. But I was home. I packed up and left that same day. Never told anyone what happened. Told myself I'd imagined it. that I slipped, hit my head, and dreamt the whole thing. But that lie didn't last long. The first phone call came in January. 3:03 a.m. No number. No caller ID. I answered. At first, nothing. Then chewing. Wet, slow chewing. Like someone eating something raw and tough. I hung up. It happened again the next year. And the next. Always on the coldest night of winter. Always at 3:03 a.m. I changed my number. I moved across the country. I even disconnected my landline. But still the calls come. Sometimes to my phone. Once to my work line. The chewing never stops. I've started dreaming of the creek again. But in the dreams, the ice is cracked. The thing is standing at my bedroom door. Last night, the chewing wasn't on the phone. It was outside my window. There were footprints in the snow this morning, but only leading toward the house. None leading away. I think it's getting closer. I think next winter, I won't wake up in bed.